All right, back with us today. We've got a real treat for you. Our next guest is someone who doesn't just understand markets, he's been helping shape them for decades. He's a seasoned Wall Street pro, fintech trailblazer, and someone who always brings clarity when the headlines don't. Please welcome back to the show the CEO of Quasar Markets, Steven Big Bean Orr. Steven, they're just as excited to see you as they were last time. How are you on this Monday? It's great to see you.
When you said no clarity in the markets, all of a sudden you need to see some clarity. And look, I think RoxomTV brings that to the world. And I think, just seeing that ad talking about how in 1800s, London was changing the world when it comes to finance, and then the United States, obviously, with the dollar. But we know that's falling apart, right? We know that the fiat currencies that everybody talks about, the Dixie and all those things, are not up to par. We just saw something, Hank, that we haven't seen in 5 decades. The U.S. dollar had the worst start of a year in history. Almost, we got to like 5 decades to even talk about that, as the dollar continues to fall. And look, when that happens, you've seen Bitcoin go from the mid 90,000s to walking around 110,000 almost daily now, 108.5 now. So we are seeing the fourth industrial revolution right here, and I love it. I love what Roxom's doing. It's great.
Oh, well, we certainly appreciate that, Steve. I mean, especially somebody who is like quite literally changing how people, the average person, can participate in the markets by giving everybody the most up-to-date info, stuff you wouldn't even think is relevant, but they're showing it how it's relevant to the bigger picture. Before we jump into the stories, I'd love for you to give us another quick breakdown of all the amazing things you guys are doing at Quasar Markets to really make it a more fair playing ground for average Joes like me out there, so we're not getting killed by all the sharks and all of their tools. Tell us a little about Quasar. What's going on over there currently?
Yeah, that's a good question. Look, it's very simple. A lot of the tools that everybody plays with today, I've either been a part of, helped write, design, develop. I love it. And I've been a part of the technology side of the NBA, NFL, PGA Tour, you name it. I've done on TV. And of course, finance for over 3 decades, 34 years now. And what I realized in these markets is that the winners are very simple. It's not always about who has the best charts, or it's about who has the most data, right? I need to understand what's being said out there. And in the past, we understood it because of some talking head telling us, hey, this is what's going on in the market because this is what I think. And instead of democratizing data, they kept it themselves and the institutions play with it. What if I could take the institutional data, every bit of it, weather patterns, sports scores, stock quotes, options, put it all together in one place. Also AI it. Also give you FDA databases, give you databases that the government has they don't normally give out. Yes, I was part of the whole Mount Gox thing, and thankfully, knock on wood, I got out the Mount Gox before it all fell apart. But when I look at those, we had no idea back then, Hank, that what it would do this fast. The speed of which the adoption of crypto has moved so fast that even some of the normal tech rules of doubling and doubling and doubling aren't even part of the equation anymore. You look at people like my friend Anthony Scaramucci, the Mooch. He talks about it. This is institutional money. You talk about a guy like Michael Saylor. This is institutional money. Okay, they were the first ones to say, okay, you know what? I believe in this. I now understand it. I had to take time to understand it myself. They're buying, right? Now, let's fast forward to 2 years ago where JP Morgan, Ray Dalio, these guys were saying, no freaking way am I buying crypto. Today, they own ETFs. They own Bitcoin. They're some of the biggest owners of crypto, right? And so we have to understand what their thinking process now is because it has changed. I asked Ray Dalio at the World Economic Forum. I said, Ray, how much should a person have in their portfolio? Now, this was unheard of 5 years ago, but now he's saying 10%. What? 10% of your portfolio needs to be in gold, silver, precious metals, and crypto. If you told me that 5 years ago, I would have said, no way would a guy like Ray Dalio tell you that. No way would Jamie Dimon say that. No way would Goldman Sachs say, I'm totally all in with crypto. In fact, Jamie Dimon said, if anybody on my team is buying Bitcoin or crypto, I'm going to fire them. And within minutes, his own daughter calls him and says, Hey, Dad, guess what? I own Bitcoin, right? That tells you that there was a disconnect. And what I want to do at Quasar is put that disconnect into a box and say, okay, here's where all the disconnects happen. Here's where it's all back together. And places like RoxomTV, when you show that out to the public, that's what they need to understand. This is not about a meme coin generation of, I can't wait to buy the next whatever coins comes out, right? This is about understanding what we're investing in. And I was asked over the weekend, I was just in Ireland, I was asked over the weekend, well, what is Bitcoin? Why is it worth so much? Is nothing. And then I turn around and say, well, why is a stock worth something? Why is gold worth something? It's because what somebody's willing to pay for it. And I always say that the rule of anything in your investing is one thing. It's the mispricing of pricing. So if I'm hearing that this big investor that from the very get-go, it's Satoshi himself, it's the US government, no, it's this, I don't care. All I care about is price. And price dictates everything to me. And if the price is going up, there's a reason, because it's supply and demand. It's the old fashioned, that comes back from the 1200s, right? If I've got something somebody wants and somebody has it, that price is decided, right? You can say, oh, well, Bitcoin's a lot like tulips. Well, even tulips went up. Back then you couldn't short tulips. Today you can short it. So I want to make sure I'm on the right side of the equation of the market. But here's what we're seeing. We're seeing Bitcoin at 1085, right? So what does that tell me? That tells me that the person that is with this huge, large wallet is not dumping as hard as he could or she could. We know that right now, we know that these wallets, I think there's 4 of them, aren't doing that. So I wanted to know that. And I didn't want to hear all the, oh my God, can you believe what's happening out in the market? Can you believe what's happening in the world? Oh my God, this person's doing that. I don't care what they're doing. All I care about is what price is. And the price is dictating that right now, crypto's okay right now.
Yeah, no, and we really appreciate it for everything you're doing at Quasar Markets, because like you said, we don't want to be looking back at anger at those missed opportunities. And you, me, and Sally, we can't wait for the most up-to-date info on all the investments that we're trying to make specifically with Bitcoin. So really appreciative of the things.
And let's keep that wonder wall up at 108, right?
Meanwhile, your cousin who told you to buy Solana at the top is still blaming the SEC. And here's where things get really fun. Strategy's moves influence others, as firms like Figma and corporate treasuries around the world are starting to copy the Saylor playbook. Even whispers of a strategy buy can move sentiment in the market. And if they do make the buy, this would be the 13th straight week of accumulation, which means Saylor isn't investing, he's collecting. And if the market sees another huge buy, don't be surprised if Bitcoin punches through that all-time high of 111,970 like it's a minor inconvenience. As Saylor says, own Bitcoin or serve the silicon overlords. And you know what? He's not wrong. We're bringing back Steven. Steven, Saylor's turning corporate Bitcoin accumulation into a religion. From your view, how much of an impact do these massive buys have on broader institutional sentiment? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that people are watching what Michael does when he tweets, right? And I think we're catching that on algos and things like that. And I think people are trying to stay ahead of Michael Saylor. That'd be tough to do, right? Because Michael has been buying all the way up. He's not been just holding and just saying, hey, my next buy is once a month, right? You can do that through certain places like Coinbase and things like that. But he's not doing that. He's basing where he is saying strategically, this is where I'd like to own. I'd like to own more, and I want to continue to own more. And he's saying, I want to own more because I don't think that the mispricing of pricing, he's saying the price of Bitcoin is going to be way higher than it is now. He's not scared. He wasn't scared at 91,000. He wasn't scared at 95,000. He wasn't scared at 100,000, and he wasn't scared at 105,000. What is Michael Saylor doing? I'm going to do too. Like I said earlier, I think Mooch is also saying the same thing. Hey, it's one of my biggest positions, right? Whereas 10 years ago, it wasn't one of his biggest positions. You look at these firms that go, hey, you know what? I think that maybe he's right, and I'm not going to be left behind. And so, 600,000 Bitcoin. I mean, we all know 21 million, right? So that's a sizable position. This is not I'm going to be a 1%er here. He wants to be a 10%er at some point, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, a guy who's that smart and literally has like his own Scrooge McDuck digital vault of Bitcoins, like you think he's probably got something planned on the horizon. And he mentioned he's close to 600,000 Bitcoin right now in their treasury. Do you think that number solidifies them as kind of the de facto benchmark for Bitcoin treasury strategy, or does it risk concentrating too much market influence in one player?
Yeah, that's a good, very good question. Yes, it is too much of a concentration. I don't like that. That's the whole point of crypto, right? Is that we all have a stake in this. The problem is now that the people that are coming into Bitcoin now are saying, well, those of you who got it earlier are just lucky. We weren't lucky. We invested based on what we thought was going to happen, right? Sailor wasn't lucky. He kept it. If he's lucky, he's very, very lucky, and he got lucky several thousand times, right? That's not true. It can't happen, right? Yes, I don't like concentration for that very reason, right? But as that concentration happens, the scarcity of this Bitcoin is going way down, and the supply of it is just minimizing. And right now, we're finding that miners can't mine it fast enough as it's on the exchange. Now, when you see these other firms that are opening up these wallets that are saying, okay, but we're going to go higher, because we all know one thing: it's all about dictated by supply, and the supply isn't growing. So if the demand is there, no matter if the demand is high or the demand is very low, it's still demand on a very low supply. So if I were to tell you that there's no more gold in the world, you cannot mine any more gold, that's it, we're done. How many gold miners would go crazy right now, right? They already know that. That's what miners know. So the miners are still producing at as fast as rate as they ever can. And I've heard the stories now about quantum computing is going to break. No, it's not. Stop the nonsense. Right. What I'm saying is that, look, it doesn't matter if you buy it at 5,000, 10,000, 95,000, 100,000, or 200,000, the price is only going to go in one direction, up, because there is only a finite supply of 21 million. So that's what Saylor is saying. Look, I know and I understand that at 105 it's pretty high. I know at 108 it's pretty high, but I think it's the mispricing of pricing. We're going to go higher. He's not buying it because he thinks it's going to make him look good. He's buying because he wants to make money. It's the only reason to be in business, right?